"There is no space for you," the host whispered to the couple. "I must ask you to leave." He would not look them in the eye. The man wanted to argue. He could see the empty tables. They weren't even going to sit, just discreetly order a slice with the change they gathered. But he knew it was not a matter of space. His partner tugged at his sleeve. "Let's go." They were both used to this, but she attracted a different degree of hostility. Sure, the man scowled. Hidden under the sound of patrons sucking straws, scattered fragments of "Wanna Try Mine?" "How Was Work?" and the low hum of Top 40's hits, two bellies groaned. When the woman walked, she faltered like a newborn deer, so the man supported her wherever they went. Tonight, as usual, they ambled down Gates Avenue. Their four legs together could equal one slow person. They never made it to the shelter before it closed. She wasn't treated well there either. It didn't matter how cold it got. The man preferred a night in the open if it meant she was safe, if they could spend it with each other. Don't get any ideas, though. In their 2 months together, the man had never seen the woman without her coat. If he really thought about it, he wasn't sure she was a she. The way he identified people did not apply to her. Her face was bandaged to hide all but one eye, obscured even then by weeds of patchy hair. Her hands were large, but her feet were tiny. Her odor was not masculine or feminine, but milky. That said, she liked when he called her his gal, or with a laugh, his lady. As far as he figured, that settled it. The man did not look traditional himself, overlarge, lumbering, scarred by neglect and hard years. They didn't discuss the past. There were questions you did not ask. They heard feet running up the sidewalk. "Out of the way," a teenage boy shouted. 2 boys barreled through, the last one colliding with the man. The man lost his grip, and the woman fell onto the sidewalk with a pained cry like a voiceless kitten. She was fragile. One kid, chin and neck patchy with proud hairs, caught a look of the woman and heaved. "What the fuck is that?" he asked. The boys elbowed each other and laughed. The man clenched his jaw, a tooth cracked. He did not like when anger took him over, but sometimes it was warranted. He lost himself then to a creature that knew what to do with inherent violence in his size. He ran to the boy and shoved him to the ground. He picked the kid up by his jacket, blood pounding in his ears, when he heard his companion. The words were whispered but unmissable. "I'm okay." Then the anger was gone. He had torn the boy's puffy jacket. He let it go. Bending down, the man gathered the woman. The boy's friend had backed away, hands up in surrender, while the boy groaned on the sidewalk. They looked like they were 15, and the couple shuffled away. "I'm sorry," the man said. "You don't have to be," the woman smiled. The way his smile lifted her voice, the way it rounded her syllables like a chime, the way he knew she smiled even with his eyes closed, lit the man up inside. He never thought he would know intimacy. In the rare quiet of the evening city, gratitude overwhelmed him. It was on Gates Avenue when they saw the thing that made the man stop. The woman had never seen anything like it, though she could recognize the components: a chair, tires, little roller wheels, handles. It was abandoned in the mouth of an alley, plastic bags and broken glass its only companions. The man waited a full 10 minutes across the street for the owner to arrive. He would not abide stealing a thing like this. That's as bad as a horse theft, he figured, if he were back in the day. But discovering it was a different matter. Finally, the man decided to give it a look. He thought a wheel must be busted. The frame rusted through. But as he approached, it held up under scrutiny. At a touch, it rolled with ease. He hurrahed and slapped his knee with the back of his hand. "What is it?" the woman asked. "What is it?" the man laughed. "What is it?" She was embarrassed now. He laughed harder. "Honey, it's a wheelchair. You've never seen a wheelchair?" She wouldn't meet his eyes. The woman hated being teased, especially about her seemingly perpetual confusion. He laughed at her stubbornness and walked her to the chair. Gently, the man lowered her inside. "This, my dear, is a wheelchair." "But what is it?" "It's our ticket to warm beds and hot meals, that's what it is. Get a load of this." He pushed on the handles, and the chair began to pick up speed. The woman gripped the armrests, objecting loudly. The man heard the smile on her face. He ran faster and tipped back the chair so that her feet were in the air. She squealed not a human squeal, but a strange high-frequency click. He joined her with a wail of his own, and apartments 10 blocks away could hear the couple in their strange delight. A wheelchair hitting 12 miles per hour down a hill. Ever seen a wheelchair? The man pondered his new companion. This woman he knew nothing about. This woman, not a woman. He wondered what it was exactly he had fallen in love with. By the time they reached the overpass, the woman was worn out from laughing, a new kind of exhaustion for her. Though it had grown cold with each longer night, the man kept their hovel under the Box Street overpass warm. He found itchy pink insulation at a construction site, wrapped it in duct tape and bags till it was safe to sleep on. Add this to the salvaged children's sleeping bag and a final wrap of plastic bags, and they could survive most nights. Tonight, though, was colder than usual. What had been bearable in the day, under a brisk night, was debilitating. The man gathered all the layers he could, and they huddled together. Still, the cold found them. He held his arms around the woman, but through her coat, through his, he felt no warmth. "We ain't gonna stay warm like this," the man sighed. The woman's mouth chattered, but teeth did not clack. "We need body heat, both bodies." "Okay." She did not understand. I mean, we gotta undress, skin to skin, so's we can warm each other." The woman did not say anything for a long while. He was about to apologize when she began to unzip her coat. He blinked his eyes, frozen. He, too, began to undress. They were together under the child's sleeping bag in seconds. The woman warmed little at first, then he draped his arm around her, and she felt his heat, a living, hairy furnace. The cold pressed them together. The man, if he was being honest, had imagined what this might be like. Though nothing about the woman was traditional, he wanted her in the normal ways, but so much more than that. He wanted to listen to her breathing. He wanted to cook her breakfast. He wanted to fall asleep with his head in her lap, her hand in his thin hair. But mixed in with it all, he wanted to see the woman he had come to love. The coat was gone. Though he could not see her body in the dark, he could feel her. Touch painted a strange picture. She was warm, but oddly pliable. Under his hand, the flesh sunk like a memory foam mattress, gripping his hand gently. "You're right," she sighed, with a smile he did not have to see. "This is warmer." The back of the woman was like warm putty, molding to his shape. He felt the shiver quake up through a spine that wasn't there. She was ridgeless, like a water balloon. He wanted to ask one of those questions he knew you don't ask. But when she began to sob quietly, she asked him one first. "Why do you do all this?" Unexpected as her flesh was, he cradled her closer. "Why do I do all this?" "Helping me. When I walk, finding food. You're risking yourself. You're cold and hungry. There's no advantage for you. So why?" "Why? I want to. Don't know why." She shook in his arms and sobbed harder. "Then you're sick. There's something wrong in your mind." The man laughed. "Well, if you put it like that." He inhaled her, that warm dairy smell. "It is a sickness, I suppose, but it's a good sickness." The woman breathed deep, made a soft clicking noise, and went calm in his arms. "A good sickness," he repeated. "That's what love is." He hesitated. "I love you." "Okay," she said. "And what's that?" The man did not laugh at her confusion this time. He did not repeat her question. He turned silent. Then he began to cry. The woman was ashamed at once. She retracted from him, curled in on herself, sure she had offended him somehow. She felt the cold at once. "I don't mean to be confused. This is a confusing place." "No," he sniffled. "It ain't that. It's just, that's the gosh darn saddest thing I ever heard." The man, she realized, was not upset. Not with her, anyhow. He brought her back to his warmth. They turned to one another, and he saw her body. She was not a woman, and not a man either, nor entirely human. Her flesh rippled like living ocean, a strange fluid in human shape, but frozen, blocky, cracked, and worn. She was a fluid that had aged and endured, yet her face was still hidden under its wrappings. So what is it, love? I don't think I can explain it. He pulled her closer. Gazing into her one visible eye, he saw colors he did not know in nature. The iris teemed, pulsed, and fluoresced. Large as he was, he felt very small. He began to unwrap the bandages. But maybe I can show you. Piece by piece, he removed the wrapping until he saw her face. The hair had been false. It fell away with the bandages. She was smooth, rippling, and bright. She had but the one eye. The rest of her face was scattered and uncanny, an impressionist version of what a face might be. It was constructed to the best of her ability, a nose not quite centered, a mouth too large. The ears and teeth and hair were ignored for the features she knew best, like a kid learning to draw. She was an artist's interpretation of a human. He thought of his love. The pair kissed, and warmth found them at last. The flesh that had been malleable in the cold, putty in confusion, was dexterous and sensuous in love. As their mouths moved within each other, the flesh spread like a slow-motion wave crashing. She folded around him, plied him, stirred about, and inside him. Pieces of her wrapped his arms like ribbon, and wherever it allowed, their passion made a union of the two. Her fluid cradled the webs of his fingers and the notches of his spine. The couple made a strange love, and stirred warm with electric hum through the long cold night. When the woman woke, the sun was rising, the cold not quite as cold. She noticed what had been taken, but did not tell the man. "Good morning," he cooed into her ear. Her face absorbed into the front of her head and reformed out the back to greet him. He laughed at the trick. He would need to get used to it. "Good morning to you," she said, and they pressed their foreheads together. "I hope that was all right," the man grinned. "I ain't ever done it like that, but, well, I figure we can try again if it weren't okay." "It was just right," she smiled, and instead of seeing the smile, he felt it under his own mouth. Then his eyes went wide. "The wheelchair!" He was up, naked as he was, running about in sudden alarm. The chair was nowhere to be seen. He slapped his thigh, fell to his hams, and pouted. The woman draped the sleeping bag around her mystery flesh and tried to comfort him. It's okay, she whispered, but he would not come. "You don't take a wheelchair," he despaired. "It's like taking a man's horse." The woman could make no sense of this, but did not press him. "This species," he cried, "this whole goddamn planet, it's all broken." That one eye turned to him then. Whatever fury burned inside, he felt grateful again. "Every species is broken," she said, rubbing her facsimile hand through his hair. "Yours can break into something good." "Not all the time," he grumbled. "Sometimes." She took his hand and brought it to her chest. It sank into the wrist, and within he felt a strange organ pump in calm rhythm. He could not help the question then. "Where are you from?" She sighed, released his hand. "That doesn't matter now." He walked weakly, wobbled in each step. This time, she took his arm and pulled him into her. Her flesh gave, absorbed first his hand, then his forearm, then the shoulder like a limbless plush hug. His body within her, he no longer felt nude, clothed as he was in his love. She was the warmth of last night, resolute against the chill of morning. His tired left leg joined with hers, and he felt both his foot tingling in her sentient liquid and her foot cool on the pavement. Their faces pressed together, cheek to cheek. He closed his eyes and for a moment saw the city through her eye, bright, foreign, and wondrous. The man laughed, and she laughed with him. He realized how alone he felt inside just one body. He realized how empty all bodies are. Their four legs made one slow person. Alone, together, they walked down Gates Avenue.